My husband and I both had our hearts broken. He decided to return to the family and live properly, and I nodded in agreement. I resolved that from now on, I would never let anyone hurt us again. But on the third day after the breakup, my younger boyfriend sent me a request to get back together. Babe, I was wrong. I'll never get jealous over nothing again. Don't leave me, okay? I'm willing, even if it means being the third. And at that moment, Sam was celebrating my birthday for me. Back then, cheating was my fault. At the time, I only thought she was too young. Like the old you. Now I finally understand that you're the only one in my heart. From now on, let's live properly. Holding my phone, I smiled awkwardly. Well, sorry about this. My boyfriend wants to get back together with me. How about you go find someone else too? He froze. After a long while, a faint red spread at the corners of his eyes. Julia, do you want me to die? Chapter 1. On the night Sam's young assistant broke up with him, he got dead drunk at the clubhouse. His friends had no choice but to call me. I originally had no intention of going, until I heard his friend say, "Sis, I know Sam wronged you, but Cecilia has already broken up with him. I heard Cecilia wanted Sam to divorce you, and he refused. Sam still has you in his heart. Pick him up, and from now on, live properly together. After all, a prodigal son who returns is worth more than gold." Sam had also fallen out of love? I put down the bottle in my hand. Tears instantly fell, and the sound of my sobbing rose. The person on the other end paused, then sighed. "We're at the usual place, sis." After saying that, he hung up. I glanced at the phone screen, where the background photo was of my little wolf dog boyfriend playing basketball. Beneath the hem of his white basketball jersey, sweat had soaked through the fabric, and his abs were faintly visible. I remembered when I went to look for him at the school gate that afternoon. His delicate face was full of coldness. "Let's break up. I won't be the third." No one understood the pain of heartbreak better than I did. We were both people who had been heartbroken at the ends of the earth, so I wiped away my tears, walked out the door, and had the driver take me to the clubhouse. Chapter 2. When I picked up Sam, he was already so drunk that he was unconscious. Tears slid from the corners of his eyes to his forehead. The name he kept murmuring was Cecilia. When the people around saw me arrive, their faces were filled with awkwardness and sympathy. After all, everyone knew that Sam and I were childhood sweethearts who had built everything from scratch and walked into marriage together. We were the golden couple everyone envied. But after achieving success and fame, Sam still cheated. The last time I saw the two of them was on Sam's birthday. I had secretly wanted to surprise him, so I walked to the door of the private room with a gift. But I saw him holding Cecilia's hand and introducing her to his friends. "Cecilia, my girlfriend. You can just call her sis." I rushed in with tears streaming down my face and questioned him. "If she's sis, then what am I?" Sam raised his eyes and glanced at me, then instinctively shielded Cecilia behind him. "Don't worry, the identity of Mrs. Sam is yours." Cecilia looked at me timidly. "Julia, I don't want a title. As long as I can stay by Sam's side, that's enough. I won't destroy your marriage, and I definitely won't steal your identity." I rushed forward and slapped Cecilia. Sam stepped forward to stop me, and I backhanded him twice as well, with a face full of disgust. Sam pushed me to the ground, his expression impatient. "Julia, have you made enough of a scene? In our circle, who doesn't have younger women outside?" Perhaps my vulnerability was too embarrassing, because his voice softened. "Don't be too naive, Julia. Go home first, okay?" That night, I went to the most expensive restaurant in Haicheng and ordered one serving of white truffle after another. Amid the sound of piano music, I ate in big mouthfuls mixed with tears. I calmly accepted everything. After all, I had accompanied Sam all the way to where he was today. I could not hand everything over to Cecilia. Chapter 3. Sam was very satisfied with my generosity. It was only when he saw the bruise on my waist from when he had pushed me down that a trace of guilt appeared in his eyes. He shoved a bank card into my hand. "Cheating was my fault, but we grew up together. We've been married for 3 years, and I stopped feeling that way about you a long time ago. She's younger than you. No one can refuse a young body. If you're truly sad, why don't you find someone too? As long as you don't bring him home, you can play however you want. With swollen red eyes, I looked at him numbly. On my phone screen was the latest message from my best friend. It's just cheating. Who doesn't know how to do that? Mine is the same. Just each play your own game. Photo. My brother's classmate. He's also our junior from the same university. I heard his family is very poor, but that face is incredible. Want me to introduce him to you so you can try? I lowered my head and looked at the bank card in my hand. After staring blankly for a long while, I finally replied, "Okay." Sam's good friend gently pushed his shoulder. "Sam, sis is here." Sam sat up, his face full of impatience, but his voice extremely gentle. "Didn't you break up with me? What? Regretting it now?" Clearly, he had mistaken me for Cecilia. His friend looked a little awkward and hurriedly explained, "It's not Cecilia, it's Julia. Julia came to pick you up." Only then did Sam raise his eyes and look at me. He did not seem embarrassed at all as he stood up and picked up his coat. That made sense. After all, just last week, he had brought Cecilia home. Cecilia's stockings had been stuffed into the sofa, and it was the maid who found them and awkwardly asked me whether they should still be kept. The torn stockings made it obvious at a glance what had happened. At the time, Sam had just come downstairs. Looking at me, he gave a light laugh and tossed the stockings into the trash. "Sorry, last night got a little too intense. I casually stuffed them here." Without caring about the maid's embarrassment, he picked up his coffee and went upstairs to continue chatting with Cecilia. He did not notice the ambiguous kiss marks on my neck. Chapter 4. Let's go. Sam walked forward and saw my slightly red eyes. He smiled. "Why are you crying again? Am I the one who got dumped? Or are you the one who got dumped, Julia?" Right now, my heart was full of the fact that my younger boyfriend had broken up with me. I lowered my head sadly and said in a daze, "Of course I'm the one who got dumped. I'm in more pain than you right now." Sam was saying goodbye to the others and did not hear the first sentence clearly. He only laughed, a trace of guilt appearing in his eyes as he rubbed my head. "When did you become such a simp? If it were your old temper, you would already be setting off fireworks to celebrate and mocking me." His friend's girlfriend saw the scene and spoke sarcastically. "Sis, don't love him too much. Look at how spoiled you've made Sam. It's only because you have such a good temper." His friend covered his girlfriend's mouth. "Stop stirring things up. Sam has already broken up with Cecilia now. Besides, Sis and Sam are childhood sweethearts. Back when Sam had just started his business, Sis drank until she had stomach bleeding and was sent to the hospital just to help Sam negotiate a contract. No one can question Sis's feelings for Sam. I felt a little awkward. Indeed, back then, Sam had spent a long time working on that major order but still could not sign it. I had no choice but to take it over, smiling and drinking with them until I had stomach bleeding and Sam rushed over to take me to the hospital. He had been terrified that day, his tears falling onto the back of my hand. After I woke up, he said, "Why are you so good, baby? Don't ever do this again." In my heart, "You're more important than anything." It was just that. After only 3 years, everything had changed. Sam seemed to remember that incident too. Looking at my swollen red eyes, he sighed. "Let's go home." Chapter 5. After returning home, Sam looked at the messy living room and frowned. His gaze fell on the collector's edition bottle of Romani Conti on the floor. That bottle of wine had been given by one of his friends. I had once said that I wanted to save it for our 10th wedding anniversary celebration. He looked at me and laughed in anger. "Today isn't any holiday. Why did you open this bottle? What? Are you that happy because I got dumped?" Dumped? The moment I heard those words, I became even sadder. Inside the house, Happy Breakup was still playing on loop. With alcohol rushing to my head, I burst into tears. Sam froze, looking at me as I broke down. He sighed and pulled me into his arms. "Stop crying. I've already ended things with her. Cecilia crossed the line. That little girl's thoughts were too naive. She wanted me to divorce you. I didn't agree. After all, we're different. Julia, she and I are already over. I promise you. I'll forget her." Wife. I could no longer remember how long it had been since Sam last called me wife. Probably since the day he cheated with Cecilia. Perhaps the wine was too strong, because the cold face of my little wolf dog appeared before my eyes. Under the dim light, I was drunk and singing happy breakup. The corners of his eyes also seemed a little red as he wiped away my tears. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Julia, I didn't know you were actually this sad. Stop crying, okay? My heart hurts seeing you like this. Your birthday is in a few days. I'll take you to buy a new diamond ring, okay? I'll make it up to you. Julia, diamond ring? A husband really was still a husband. I nodded hard and secretly swore in my heart I would never let anyone hurt us again. Chapter 6. When I woke up the next day, Sam was sitting on the sofa, rubbing his temples. His brows were tightly furrowed too, and the floor was covered with the bottles we had drunk later. I remembered how last night, I had complained to him about my younger boyfriend's stubborn temper. It was just being the third, and he was already that poor, yet his sense of morality was still so high. Sam had nodded along beside me. I swallowed. I felt a little guilty. Although Sam had once told me to go find someone young, he had turned around and told his friends. She grew up with me. She's so conservative it's ridiculous. How could she possibly be with a man other than me? Julia has been a good girl since she was little, but my belated rebellious phase appeared right after he said those words. I accepted my best friend's invitation and went to meet Ethan. Sam did not know. I had thought about telling him, but I was worried that if we divorced later, he would use it against me. After all, I had no desire to leave with nothing. Besides, he still had to give me a considerable sum of money every month, so I simply never brought it up on my own. Later, my younger boyfriend was too considerate, and I was also tired, so I found a lawyer to prepare a divorce agreement and settle the assets. Because the division of shares and property was relatively complicated, the lawyer told me it would take at least half a month. He advised me not to tell Sam for now. After all, if the other party found out in advance and transferred assets, the situation would be very unfavorable to me. Sam looked at me, brows tightly furrowed, as if recalling something. I immediately stood up and laughed awkwardly. Honey, you're awake. Are you hungry? I'll go cook you a bowl of noodles right now. Sam looked at me in surprise. Since he cheated, I had never personally cooked for him again. Seeing him nod, I immediately rushed into the kitchen. Sam's voice came from behind me. Last night, I think I heard you say someone's waist was like a motor. I swallowed and turned my head stiffly. I was talking about you. You used to be like that. As if you had never been like that before either. Without waiting for his answer, I turned and ran into the kitchen. Chapter 7. For the next 2 days, Sam came home on time every day. Just like before, he brought me a bouquet of flowers when he got off work. Everyone said that Sam, the prodigal son, had finally returned. Only I looked at the roses in my hand and frowned. Because, as early as a year ago, on Cecilia's birthday, when Sam gave her 999 roses, I had stopped liking roses. Sam did not know that Cecilia had sent me photos that day. He handed me the diamond ring in his hand. I saw it at an auction. I thought it would suit you. A 10-carat flawless square-cut diamond. I did indeed like it very much. I took a photo and posted it on my social feed. After all, nowadays, love, forget it. The more money, the better. Perhaps this was fine too. The next second, Sam's phone rang. He glanced at me, but still answered the call. I knew it was Cecilia calling. Sure enough, in the next second, he stood up and left. Cecilia was in a car accident. I'm going over. I'll be right back. I did not respond. My phone screen vibrated. It was a video from my younger boyfriend. In the video, my younger boyfriend was bare-chested, his cold white skin exposed under the faint yellow sunlight. His bony fingers rested on the equipment, his waist lifting into the air. I swallowed the saliva in my mouth. Just as I was about to watch it again, the video was withdrawn. Me? His call came through. From the receiver came my younger boyfriend's magnetic voice. Babe, come pick up the things you gave me this afternoon. I lowered my eyes. Can we not break up? He laughed in anger. Not break up, and still have me be the third? I felt a little guilty. After all, back then, I had thought my best friend had told him that I was only keeping him, so I had driven a flashy convertible sports car and appeared in front of Ethan, whose clothes had been washed until they were faded, and said, "Stay with me." The tips of his ears turned completely red. Isn't this a little too fast? I took out a door card and handed it to him. Not fast. I bought a villa nearby. From now on, we'll meet there. He was still hesitating. I thought the bargaining chip was not enough, so I added a bank card. After all, he really was far too good-looking. A facecon like me always had a little extra patience for beautiful people. Let's go now. He froze. Can we wait a little longer? No, if you're unwilling, I'll find someone else. He anxiously grabbed my hand. Okay. Chapter 8. Ethan looked cold and aloof, like a flower on a snowy peak, but he was extremely inexperienced. Only smart people learned everything quickly. After just a few times, he could move like a fish in water and know how to please me. As I shed tears, I sighed. Youth really was good after all. Ethan had excellent stamina and was also very considerate. Of course, facing such a perfect younger boyfriend, I was also very generous. It was just that every time my younger boyfriend looked at the bank card, he always seemed to want to say something but stopped. Until I said, I can't give you a title. I have a little money, so take it. He smiled, pinched my nose, and pushed me down onto the sofa. I don't want money. I want a title. After seeing me shake my head, he became so angry that he buried himself in work. The next day, he would pitifully stare at me with that cold, untouchable face and admit his mistake. It hooked me so badly that I could not stop. Every day, I held my phone and smiled sweetly. Sam, who was also holding his phone, raised an eyebrow. You've been in a good mood lately. I nodded. I'm keeping a little puppy. Sam smiled. How old are you now? When you wanted to keep a dog as a child, you were rejected. And now you still want one? Where's the dog? I touched my slightly aching collarbone. I'm keeping it outside. Sam nodded. Those days, Cecilia was making a huge fuss. Several times, after bringing up breaking up, she ran abroad. He was heartbroken while I was madly in love. Naturally, he could not empathize with me. Until a few days ago, when Sam and I were invited to attend our alma mater's outstanding alumni gala together, and only then did Ethan find out that I was married. One day later, he broke up with me. On the other end of the phone, he waited a long time without getting my answer. I heard his self-mocking scoff. By the time I reacted, the call had already been hung up. I sighed. I walked into the cloakroom and changed into a short red dress. Then I took my car keys and walked out. Only the nanny was left holding the mop, her mouth wide open, frozen in place for a long while. Chapter 9. When I arrived at the address Ethan had sent me, I saw him from afar, wearing a white t-shirt. His cool, exquisite side profile had a smooth jawline and a tall, straight nose bridge. Someone, blushing, was asking him for his contact information. Sorry, I already have a girlfriend. I walked up. You haven't had one for a while. Ethan froze slightly, looking at my long legs exposed outside. The tips of his ears turned crimson. You came. I nodded. He stumbled over his words. Are you cold? After saying that, as if realizing something, he pressed his lips tightly together. Everything is here. They were the cards I had given him and the watch I had bought him. He had not spent a single cent. A young man who did not want my money was far too hard to find. I bit my lip. Can we not break up? Actually, my husband is keeping a woman outside too. If he can keep one, he can keep two. I can separate things clearly. A boyfriend is a boyfriend, and a husband is a husband. Ethan laughed in anger. Babe, what do you take me for? I looked at the cut on his fingertip and remembered that pitifully small diamond ring, clenched tightly in his palm. Only after a long while did he say nervously, We're missing a formal confession. Babe, are you willing to be my girlfriend? With tears in my eyes, I looked at him, stood on tiptoe, and kissed his lips. This is a farewell kiss. He did not struggle. He reached out and held my waist. Chapter 10. Sam thought he was hallucinating. Otherwise, how could he have seen Julia kissing another man on the street corner? Sam's fingertips trembled. Ignoring Cecilia in front of him, he rushed out. Only after he arrived did he discover that Cecilia had not been in a car accident at all. She had only wanted to ask him to get back together. He refused. Cecilia asked him with red eyes why. Why? If it had been a few days earlier, he would definitely have agreed without hesitation. But now, he hesitated. Perhaps it was because he did not want to see Julia cry again. In the past, he had thought that since his heart had been moved, he might as well play around. But from beginning to end, he had never thought of separating from Julia. He knew that he would eventually come back. Cecilia did not ask for a title, and once his excitement for Cecilia disappeared, he would return to Julia's side. He had arranged everything. Julia had also accepted it very quickly, but only when Julia cried so heartbreakingly that night did he realize how much pain she had been in. Only then did he realize that the person he had loved all along was Julia. So after the passion faded, whenever he saw Julia crying, his heart filled with guilt. Thus, he gave Cecilia 10 million, enough for her to live very well. The condition was that she could no longer appear in City A and could no longer appear before Julia. After that night, he truly no longer had any feelings for Cecilia. At first, he had felt that Cecilia's brows and eyes resembled Julia a little, driven by ambiguity. He had cheated, but now, looking back, even he did not understand why he had done such a thing at the time. Now that he was prepared to live properly with Julia, he would no longer let Julia remember his cheating. But he had not expected to see the scene. He rushed forward and heard that boy say, "Let's stop here, babe." Julia stood there with red eyes, looking pitiful. Then she turned and left. Bad news, Julia had also cheated. She had found a younger boy. Good news, they had broken things off. His thoughts turned again and again, and he froze in place, not knowing what he should do. Only after Julia's figure completely disappeared did he come back to himself and kick the car hard. Chapter 11. Sam found someone to investigate that boy. He wanted to know when the two of them had started, suppressing the enormous shock in his heart. The assistant handed the documents to Sam. Good heavens, what had he just found out? He would not be silenced. Would he? Looking at the top of Sam's head, he could almost see a green glow. But the matter between Sam and Cecilia, forget it. He should leave quickly. Sam looked at Ethan's information in the documents. At 18, his family had gone bankrupt, and he had applied for student loans on his own. Student council president, top scorer in the college entrance examination, competition champion. He had founded an AI technology company himself. Although it was not large, it had already obtained national new technology qualification recognition. Without a doubt, Julia had excellent taste. Attached were printed screenshots from surveillance footage in various places. There were photos of him and Julia shopping at the mall, and photos of the two of them eating street food outside the school gate. Their postures were intimate, their affection obvious, just like Sam and Julia had once been. But how long had it been since Julia last looked at him like that? Even when he wanted to kiss her after getting drunk, she would refuse, and sometimes even retch. So during the year when he had cheated, this boy had also been by Julia's side. When Ethan was accidentally injured, Julia had even made soup and personally fed it to him. His eyes ached faintly. After a long while, he looked at the string of numbers in the documents and sent that boy a message. Is being someone else's third something glorious? If you had even the slightest sense of morality, you wouldn't be with my wife. The other party replied very quickly. If you had a sense of morality, you wouldn't have cheated and made her sad. So what right do you have to question me? Sam wanted to argue, but he could not say a single word. There was a USB drive in the documents. Inside was a conversation between Julia and her best friend at a private jewelry store. I'm tired. I don't want to see Sam anymore. It turns out that even with money, I still can't forget being betrayed by him. I've already found someone to prepare the divorce agreement. I stopped taking my medication a long time ago. Ethan is very good. I'm preparing to get divorced. He doesn't want my money. He only wants a title. For that boy, she wanted a divorce. On the desk was a photo of him and Julia. 18-year-old him and 18-year-old Julia had promised to be together forever. Later, he treasured that photo wherever the company was. The photo was there. He regretted it. Chapter 12. When Sam came back, I was lying on the sofa in the dim living room, listening to Happy Breakup. On my phone, the voice messages my younger boyfriend had once sent me were playing on loop. Babe, I'm going to class first. Remember to eat breakfast. Babe, I have to work overtime today. Can you sleep first? Babe, I miss you. Babe, I was wrong. I shouldn't have been so rough. Don't be angry, okay? From now on, I'll listen to you in everything. Sigh. I opened my eyes and saw a figure standing beside the sofa. It was Sam. I instantly panicked a little. When had he come in? Surely he had not heard it. I sat up, my mind still thinking about how to explain. But then I saw him turn and go into the kitchen. I'll make you something to eat. Ever since Cecilia appeared, he had not entered the kitchen again. Sam seemed a little strange. During the meal, the corners of his eyes were red, and he seemed to have no appetite. When I got up in the middle of the night to drink water, I saw him sitting on the sofa, smoking one cigarette after another. I shook my head. Looks like he had failed to get back together with Cecilia. He was still heartbroken. Out of sympathy, I walked forward and patted his shoulder. Don't be too sad. I was still far too considerate and kind. After saying that, I turned and went upstairs to sleep. Chapter 13. Sam did not remain immersed in the atmosphere of heartbreak. The specific manifestation was that he began frequently giving me all kinds of expensive gifts. Every night before sleeping, he would hug me and say, "Forgive me. Can we both forget the past?" Sam treated me even better than before. On my birthday, he even personally went to a cake shop and made a cake for me with his own hands. After I finished washing up and went downstairs, I saw him sitting on the sofa with a phone in his hand. I guessed it was Cecilia messaging him again. He looked like he was about to shatter. Sigh. I was just about to turn around when I saw the pendant on the phone. My head instantly hurt. That was my phone, so I jogged forward and took it away. Sam stood up and held my hand. "Come blow out the candles." I breathed a sigh of relief. Judging by his reaction, he probably had not seen anything, until I lowered my head and saw the photo of Ethan and me on the screen. A notification sounded. It was from the lawyer. The assets had already been settled, and the divorce agreement had also been prepared. Over there, Sam had already lit the candles. I was 25. This was the 24th birthday he had spent with me, except for last year. On my birthday last year, he accompanied Cecilia to the mountaintop to watch the stars. Because my mother and his mother were best friends, we had been carried by the adults to attend each other's birthdays since we were little. Last year, I spent that birthday alone. Cecilia sent me photos of them together. For a period afterward, every time I closed my eyes, I would think of that scene, and I needed medication in order to fall asleep. Sam looked at me. "From now on, let's live properly, okay?" My phone notification sounded. It was a message from my younger boyfriend. "Babe, I can't forget you. I want to keep staying by your side, even if it means being the third. I won't get jealous again. I'll obediently listen to you. I can also give up on a title, as long as you don't leave me." I remembered Ethan saying with red eyes, "Not being the third is my final bottom line." I raised my head and waved my phone. "Sorry, my boyfriend wants to get back together with me. How about you go find someone else?" Without Cecilia, there could still be other women. A prodigal son returning? I found it dirty, for someone disloyal, even if he turned back. So what? Who knew whether he would repeat the same mistake next time? Sam raised his head and let his tears fall. Only after a long while did he look at me. "Julia, do you want me to die?" Chapter 14. I looked at him. "Don't you already know? I cheated too. A young boy. He doesn't want anything except a title. I should give it to him." The corners of Sam's eyes grew even redder. "So? You're preparing to divorce me? Then be with him?" I was almost afraid his next sentence would be, "What does your affair have to do with me? If he wants a title and you can't give it to him, then break up with him. Why divorce me?" Sure enough, once a woman stopped loving, her thoughts became open-minded. Sam looked at me. "Julia, are you doing this to get revenge on me?" I nodded, then shook my head. "At first, it was indeed to get revenge on you. Sam, I never wronged you. You cheated first. You were the one who told me to try finding someone younger, but he really is very good. Also, I don't want to stay entangled with you for the rest of my life." Every second I saw him was the pain of betrayal, like a burning slap across my face. It was true that, no matter how good Ethan was, I had not originally planned to be with him. After all, I did not have the energy to accompany another boy as he grew up. But now I had money. I did not want to reject loving and being loved just because I had once been hurt. Instead, I wanted to enjoy love. Life was far too long. I'll have the lawyer send you the divorce agreement tomorrow. The assets will be split in half. After saying that, I stood up and left. Sam's voice came from behind me. I won't agree to the divorce. Chapter 15. Sam made up his mind to stay entangled with me like this. He refused to divorce, and I did not mind. The next day, I packed my things, moved out, and left. Sam could not stop me. He only let out a scoff when he saw Ethan. Julia, come back when you've had enough fun. But that very night, he smashed the door of my new home. Sam did not stay entangled with me for too long, even though he was certain that I would be like him, break up with Ethan, then return like a prodigal child. Only, nothing went the way he imagined. Because Cecilia was pregnant, she sent me the pregnancy report. Counting the timing, it happened to be the second day after the two of them had their breakup fight. I ignored her, but I did not expect her to come directly to the entrance of my new company and wait for me. I saw her wearing a fitted knitted long dress, her slightly swollen belly outlined particularly clearly. Seeing me, she smiled smugly. Julia, since you refused to see me, I could only wait here. Making a pregnant woman wait this long really isn't appropriate. After all, this child belongs to your husband. What should I do? My stomach hurts a little now. If Sam finds out, I rolled my eyes. My newly opened company did not need this kind of bad luck. I called Sam. On the other end, Sam sounded a little surprised. Julia, I interrupted him. Sam, take your mistress away. Also, congratulations on becoming a father. If you don't want me to expose this, sign the divorce agreement quickly. Also, I want a 60-40 split of the assets. After saying that, I hung up and left. Almost the next second, Cecilia's phone rang. You're pregnant? You actually set me up? That night, you said that as long as we had one last moment of intimacy, you would leave City A. Chapter 16. Sam refused to keep this child, and in the end, the matter reached his mother. Sam and I had been together for many years and had never had children. His mother had always urged us before. At first, it was because Sam thought I was too young and did not want children for the time being. Later, it was because he had cheated and kept himself chaste for Cecilia, while I thought he was too dirty. So we slept in separate rooms. Although his mother felt upset, she still hesitated as she told me, Julia, since this has already happened, and you also want to divorce Sam, this child, she did not get to finish before my mother cursed her out. The two of them completely fell out. My mother went to find Sam. When she came back, she was holding the signed divorce agreement. According to my mother, Sam cried, but it had nothing to do with me. Sam and I were completely over. That night, Ethan sent Sam a message. Sam, thank you for giving me the chance to take the position. I'll definitely cherish it. Then he turned around and made our relationship official on social media. I heard that Sam was drinking heavily at the clubhouse at the time. After seeing the message, he smashed his phone. Sam came looking for me, but I did not see him. I heard that Cecilia and Sam fought very badly. Sam refused to marry her, and the matter reached a deadlock. I had no time to care, because at this moment, the young boy beside me took out an equity transfer agreement and asked me to sign it. Then he leaned forward excitedly. Outside the floor-to-ceiling window was the city's bustling night view. Inside the floor-to-ceiling window was a bed full of spring. Chapter 17. Because of congenital deficiencies, Cecilia's child was advised against by the doctors, but she still intended to keep it. Unexpectedly, the fact that she had interfered in a professor's marriage during university was exposed. The professor's original wife not only posted about her online, but also hit her. The child was gone too. Naturally, Sam's family refused to let her marry into the family. Sam's business rivals happened to use this matter against him. The company's shares fell considerably, and Sam was pressed step by several shareholders, unable to free himself. Half a year later, after Ethan graduated, he proposed to me. On the wedding day, I saw Sam crying in a corner. Clearly, only half a year had passed, yet many white hairs had already appeared on his head. His former glory was gone, only exhaustion remained on his face. I said nothing and looked toward Ethan, who was also crying, trembling as he put the diamond ring on me. Fortunately, I had not lost the ability to love and be loved because of this. The second day after the wedding, I heard that Sam had gone abroad. In the second year of my marriage, Ethan and I had a daughter. At this time, my career was flourishing. In order to let me work with peace of mind, Ethan took our daughter to his company every day. In the third year of my marriage, Sam died abroad. I heard it was in a gunfight. I stood frozen in place for a very long time. After I returned home, my daughter, wearing a little dress, staggered toward me. Beside her was the maternity nanny taking care of her, while Ethan walked out of the kitchen wearing an apron. "Baby, you're back." Then he crouched down to change my shoes for me. The nanny blushed and carried our daughter upstairs. When he raised his head, I bent down and kissed his lips. The future was still very long. Extra, Ethan. Chapter 1. Ethan fell in love with Julia at first sight on the outstanding alumni display wall at school. Julia, wearing a white dress, looked toward the camera. So beautiful it was breathtaking. The corners of her lips were raised, and her eyes looked straight ahead. It was as if she were looking at him through the photo. In that moment, his heart stirred. Later, his roommate said there was a part-time job to introduce to him. The other party would come pick him up at the school gate. He did not think too much about it and stood at the gate waiting, until a car stopped beside him, and Julia, wearing a white Chanel-style dress, stood in front of him. "You're Ethan, right? Come with me." The tips of his ears turned crimson. Isn't this too fast? Was it also love at first sight? Just like him. Chapter 2. When he saw Julia and Sam standing on stage, he, as the student council president, delivered the speech scheduled to them. Julia was not surprised at all. She was married. Then what was he? It was not until he walked off the stage in a daze that his mentor told him. "See those two? They were both my students. I heard they were childhood sweethearts who grew up together. Later, they got into the same university. The two of them were already sweet back then, even when I arranged experiments. I had to separate them, but every time class ended, the other one would be waiting at the door. I didn't expect them to really get married after graduating from university. Ethan, you should learn from them too. Stop being alone. Before your grandfather passed away, he entrusted you to us old men and asked us to look after you." He returned to the villa. He remembered how Julia always bought him things and gave him bank cards. So that was it. He called his roommate. His roommate nodded. "Aren't you short on money? After your family went bankrupt, even after selling everything, you still owe tens of millions. I heard Julia's husband cheated, so she also wanted to find someone younger. Maybe she wanted revenge." His eyes reddened. The person he held in the palm of his hand had been treated like this by someone else. He felt sorry for Julia, but the education he had received since childhood made it impossible for him to accept becoming a third party. So he brought up breaking up, but he could not control how much he missed her. To hell with morality. Even if 10 million people spat on him, he still wanted Julia. So he sent Julia a message. Chapter 3. Julia said that she had brought up divorce with her husband. That night, he was very happy. Shamelessly, he thanked the other man. If Sam had not cheated, perhaps he and Julia would never have been together in this life. Julia got together with him, but she did not rely on him. He knew that was the wound left by being betrayed by the person she loved. It was all right. He would work hard. He gave everything to Julia. He wanted to give Julia 10,000% security. Learning from her ex-husband's mistakes, he would always do better than that ex. Their daughter was born. Many years later, he held Julia's hand as they weaved through the crowd. Julia complained that he was holding her too tightly, but he said, "I want to hold your hand like this until you're 70, until you're 80, until the end of my life. I still won't let go of your hand." Extra, Sam, when he was shot abroad and collapsed in a pool of blood, what appeared before his eyes were more than 20 years with Julia. He had still lost her. When he opened his eyes again, he saw his 22-year-old self proposing to Julia. He had been reborn. This time, he would absolutely never let her down. But Julia rejected him and even brought up breaking up. Her gaze fell on the young man opposite them. who was wearing a white basketball uniform. The manager said, "That's our young boss." Julia's eyes lit up, and she called out without hesitation, "Husband." That young man was Ethan. At this time, his family had not yet gone bankrupt. The young man looked over in confusion when he saw Julia. The tips of his ears turned crimson, until Julia abandoned Sam and left. He heard her chattering voice directed at the boy. "Husband, are you only 18 this year?" The young man blushed. "Don't call me husband yet, but I'm your future wife. Ethan, do you believe me or not?" "I do." This time, Ethan received 100% of Julia's love, and he, despite being reborn once, could only watch helplessly as she left. He felt the same pain Julia had once felt.